Everyone, my name is Ariana Mecca, and for my project on the classification of special education, I'm going to be talking about ADHD. So what is ADHD? First and foremost, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It is a highly genetic, brain-based syndrome that has to do with regulation of a particular set of brain functions and related behaviors. These are also known as executive functioning skills. These skills include important functions such as attention, concentration, memory, motivation, and effort, learning from mistakes, impulsivity, hyperactivity, organization, and social skills. There are several important factors of these challenges, such as chemical and structural differences in the brain, as well as genetics. So some background information about ADHD is that this neurodevelopmental disorder affects about 11% of school-age children. Success can definitely be reached with individuals with ADHD, but identification and proper treatment is completely critical. Without it, individuals can have some serious consequences such as school failure, family stress, depression, problems with relationships, substance abuse, delinquency, accidental injuries, and job failure. ADHD symptoms usually arise in childhood. So is it ADHD or ADD? I'm sure you all know or have heard many people use ADD and ADHD interchangeably. So the current and correct medical terminology is ADHD, also known as Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, also known as the DSM, has been changed and revised many times over the years. The most recent revision is in the DSM-5, which is the one we are using today. And they state that Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder is broken up into 3 subtypes: predominantly inattentive presentation, predominantly hyperactive and impulsive presentation, and combined presentation. And this will more accurately reflect for the most common forms of the condition. So the history of ADHD diagnosis. This was really important to visually show the progression and the revisions of the DSM. So in 1968, it started as hyperkinetic reaction of childhood. In 1980, it was changed to attention deficit disorder with or without hyperactivity. So it's ADHD with the H or without. In 1987, it was revised again to ADHD with no subtitles included. In 1994, it was ADHD, specifically inattentive, hyperactive, impulsive, or combined. In 2000, it was revised to Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder and specify whether it's inattentive, hyperactivity, and impulsive, or combined. And then in 2013 of the DSM-5, which is what we're using today, is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, and it's specified predominantly inattentive presentation, predominantly hyperactive and impulsive presentation, or combined presentation. So defining features. There are 3 primary characteristics of ADHD are inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So children with ADHD may be inattentive but not hyperactive or impulsive, hyperactive and impulsive but able to pay attention, inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive, and the most common form of ADHD. Thought this was really important because often people think ADHD, they picture a child that's climbing on furniture, not sitting still, fidgeting, squirming, and yes, that is a specific kind of form, but there's plenty of students that are able just to sit, and it looks like they're paying attention in class, but their brain is moving a mile a minute and they can't focus, but it looks like they are. So signs and symptoms. These are just some of the all different 3 presentations just on one slide. So some examples are having trouble staying focused, appear to not be listening when spoken to, difficulty in remembering instructions, constantly fidgets and squirms, difficulty sitting still, acts without thinking, guesses rather than taking the time to solve a problem, inability to keep powerful emotions in check. So the DSM-5 lists the following presentations like I was speaking about before of ADHD. So just to go into more detail of each of them so I can paint a better picture of the different presentations. So predominantly inattentive. This focuses on fails to give close attention to details and makes careless mistakes, difficulty sustaining attention, does not appear to listen, struggles to follow through with instructions, has difficulty with organization, avoids or dislikes tasks requiring sustained mental effort, often loses things or is distracted and forgetful in daily activities. Predominantly hyperactive and impulsive, can be physical with hands or feet, squirms in the chair, has difficulty remaining seated, runs about, climbs excessively, difficulty engaging in activities quietly, acts like it's being driven by a motor, talks excessively, blurts out answers before the question is even being completed, difficulty waiting or taking turns, and interrupts or intrudes on others. And then combined is an individual that meets the criteria of both the hyperactive, impulsive, and inattention and ADHD. Also, the DSM-5 requires professionals in diagnosing ADHD to include the severity of the disorder. I think this is really important. Is it mild, is it moderate, or is it severe? So mild is when there's only a few symptoms beyond the required number of diagnoses that are present. Symptoms can result in minor impairment in school, social, or work setting. Moderate is symptoms in the middle between mild and severe. And severe, there are many symptoms that are present beyond the number that needed to make a diagnosis. Several of them are severe. Symptoms result in marked impairment in social, school, and work settings. And as the individual is aged, their symptoms may lessen. It could change and become in different forms. And adults who retain from some of the symptoms from their childhood of ADHD, but not all, and they could be diagnosed as having ADHD in partial remission. Incidence. So currently there are 5.4 million children that have a diagnosis of ADHD. 335,000 of them are young children ages 2 to 5, and 2.4 million are school-age children ages 6 to 11. 2.9 million are adolescents from 12 to 17 years old. Thought this was a great chart that shows the number of children who ever had ADHD in millions. Currently, this was taking place in 2016 at 6.1. So some ADHD statistics. So it was really important when I was doing my research to focus not just on ADHD as a whole, but have it be broken down into gender, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. So by gender, boys are almost double girls at 13.3%, and girls only have 5.6%. And then for race and ethnicity, the most children that are diagnosed with ADHD are white children at 11.5, followed by black children at 8.9, and then Hispanic children at 6.3. Again, I thought this was a great visual to show the different races and ethnicities on a chart, just compared to the others over the years from 1997 to 2014. So some ADHD statistics that are from 2013 is 10.4 children aged 4 to 17 in families with incomes less than 200% of the federal poverty line have been diagnosed with ADHD, compared to the 8.8 children with families of incomes at 200% or more than the poverty threshold. So looking at the chart, it shows that children that are in poverty are being diagnosed with ADHD more than children that are at the 200% or more. So manifestation and educational realm. Thought this was a great visual to show what kids are having trouble with. These all are focused in the classroom and school. Also can happen outside, but I'm just focusing on what happens in the educational system. So getting organized and staying organized, such as managing homework, time management, knowing when things are done, managing emotions. This can happen in the classroom, on the playground, on the hallway, following directions from the teacher, walking quietly in the hallway, all the rules and regulations that go on within a school, raising your hand, shifting focus from one thing to another, thinking before saying or doing things, keeping things in mind, getting started on tasks. So if there's a change out of the routine abruptly, that might be hard. Focusing on what's important. I thought this image was absolutely amazing. I found it online, and I think oftentimes anyone that's working with any child in special education, dealing with diagnosis, sometimes it comes off as what they can't do, such as difficulty sitting still, can't pay attention, fidgeting, it's all negative. And I thought this was a positive image because students with ADHD are amazing. And I think this encompasses how great they are. So just go through it. A few of my favorite ones are that they're creative, they're motivated, they're positive, fresh thinking, honest, resourceful, they're pushing limitations, sensitive, brilliant, enthusiastic, funny, perfectionist, fast thinking, breaking through tough barriers, unique. Love this image, and I think any educator, parent, or anyone needs to look at things in a positive way. So, love this. For treatment. So, treatment of ADHD often requires medical, educational, and behavioral and psychological intervention. Some of the recommended treatments include parenting training, medication, skills training, counseling, behavior therapy, educational supports, and education regarding ADHD. So strategies to provide support and assistance. There are 2 federal laws that guarantee appropriate public education services and accommodations to eligible students with disabilities. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and Individuals with Disability Education Act, IDEA. Either one, depending on the diagnosis and any other contributing factors, whatever is best for the student. So some awesome resources that I found throughout my research was CHAD, the National Resource on ADHD, Attention Deficit Disorder Association, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and ADHD Institute. They all have articles, support services, educational trainings for parents, teachers, educators, counselors, meetings, newsletters, directed ADHD professionals. They even had an article for parents that, never experienced needing different services and support at school, how to go about a 504 plan, what they need, documentation to, be a team with the school, talk to your child. I just thought there were so many amazing resources on all these websites for everyone involved with the student, as well as the student as well, to best support them and make sure that they're going to be successful and they have the tools for that. So examples of some ADHD accommodations, I came up with these just from all the research that I've done. So accommodations are used to help students with ADHD learn in an equitable environment. So some that I came up with are to ensure that the student is getting the support they need. Their teachers, parents, and counselors need to assist them on this. So, for example, a seating modification can be close to the teacher, the board, and away from high traffic areas, making sure assignments are clear and provided in writing, in addition to giving them out loud. Also breaking really big assignments into smaller sections to make it feel more attainable. Giving the student more time to complete assignments, projects, or tests. Pairing them with a good role model when they're doing group work, strategically doing that so they can model that behavior. And then behavior therapy was one of the recommended interventions, and I really like behavior therapy, so I thought creating a behavior chart at school and at home to motivate the positive behaviors of the student would be awesome. It could be staying in their seat, following directions, staying on task, speaking appropriately, raising their hand, where they'll get those behaviors and get positive reinforcement for all the great work they're doing. And then also check-ins with the school counselor, working with the child study team, the teacher, the parents, and the student to make sure that they have the best learning environment possible. And all these accommodations would differ on the specific student and what their specific diagnosis is and all other contributing factors. So these are my references. A lot of them I put on the resource page as well because they had additional resources that were awesome, but I was really happy to find so much information on ADHD, and it was just great. So I really enjoyed this topic, and I hope you all learned a lot about ADHD as well. Thank you.